All right. So since we last talked about Riverside, that was pretty much a high level overview of what you are capable of doing and all the different services or the different features that are part of the Riverside service as a whole. I decided to tonight, let's actually talk about one aspect, and that aspect is hosting your podcast episodes on Riverside itself. So I'm going to talk about getting ready or getting a new podcast set up, or in my case, moving a podcast, already established podcast from another hosting provider to Riverside. So strap in, folks, because this is actually not going to be too bad. It's an easy process, and we'll walk through this step by step, essentially, not the whole thing, because again, like in my case, because I'm moving the Maker Dad podcast from my current host into Riverside. So I'm not going to be making a new podcast. I'll just show you. Let's stop talking and let's actually show what's going on here. So let me share my screen. All right. So there we go. So I got my dashboard is set up, ready to go. So what you want to do is once you log in, you have an account or you're using the trial, or let's say you do have an account and you want to go ahead and get this process started. You want to go ahead and click on the left here in the menu bar, hosting. This is going to take you to the podcast hosting side of things. So like I said, you can go ahead, if this is a brand new podcast, you're just starting, just go ahead and click on new podcast. You can create your title. It's going to ask you, or it requires a podcast cover art, or, yeah, for your podcast. And typically, what you want to do is have something that is uh, a picture of your artwork that is going to represent your podcast, and that's going to be about like the sizing is 3,000 by 3,000 pixels. So you want to make sure you have all this information um, on hand before you get started. Like, what's the podcast title? Make sure it's not taken up by another show, and it's not going to be a copy of your description. Like, what's your like a quick description of what your podcast is about, and all sorts of stuff like that. So in my case, we're going to go to import a podcast. So I am going to go to the Maker Dad. And that's me. So I'm switching from rss.com, stay alive, no interruption. Of course, analytics are not going to transfer over. So you would have to save that yourself, or you're pretty much starting over with your analytics in a new hosting. So let's import 6 episodes. So right now it's going to go through and pull your episodes from current host to Riverside. And that's what it's going through. If you have more episodes, it's going to take a little bit longer, but in my case, I only have 6 episodes right now. So as you see, all episodes are now on Riverside. So let's continue setup. And so when you do a redirect, you want to make sure that you keep one of your old hosts that account for at least 30 to 45 days, just in case, sometimes certain places take a little bit longer to see the changes, and you want to make sure that all the stuff is taken care of. Move show, and that is good to go as far as that is concerned. So my show is now pretty much living on Riverside. So what I want to do is actually add the Apple Podcast. I want to go and claim. Actually, I think I would have to go into the Apple Podcast Connect. Yeah. Sometimes, like I said, things don't work out. So we're going to do where to find it. Yep, that's what I did. Copy link, good to know. Setup. Okay, redirecting. Redirecting set Riverside as your host. It can take a while to okay, but we'll keep checking. All right, so like I said, this sometimes takes a couple minutes. So I'll refresh. Let me try again. So you're not going to be able to continue or move on to the next step until the feeds are kind of aligned. So from your old host moving over to Riverside. So what you want to do is make sure, give it like I said, a couple minutes. It shouldn't take too long, especially if your podcast is especially 6 episodes. Longer or more episodes might take a little bit longer time, and also depending on you know how internet is, right? Because if you have all set up a website, you know about DNS propagation and how long that usually would take. So, old hosting provider is redirecting to Riverside, so that is fine. So I just gotta wait, and while we wait, we'll continue with some other stuff. But yeah, reason why I wanted to do this is because have everything underneath one roof, and the only thing I would not be using is the newsletter option because I already have that with Ghost. But it is what it is. I'll be because when you look at it, the hosting is, and if you go for anywhere else, it's going to be at least $20 a month. If you go with like Captivate or Transistor or Buzzsprout or any other of the countless podcast hosting, then you also have your not your transcription, but editing, and you also have your recording capability for everything. So I know you can do this for free using like OBS or Meld, especially for recording, and you can use DaVinci Resolve and editing your episodes down manually, but ain't nobody got time for that. But if you wanted to do that for free to low cost, there are options. But if you wanted everything to be done inside one place for a reasonable amount per month, then Riverside is pretty much your it's a good solution. And there's other places like you can use Ecamm for your software for recording and live streaming. You can use Gling AI or Descript, and I know there's some other ones I'm can't remember or can't think of off the top of my head. So there are those options as well. I'm just refreshing. Let's see if I can add the show. All right, so I just gotta wait for it to finish out here. That's still up there. But yeah, this is one of the things I was going through. I've been thinking about in the past couple weeks. Is this whole move, getting it taken care of, and if I wanted to get the move started, or even do it at all in the first place, and having to deal with accounts on multiple locations and multiple services. So this was like my thinking as I was going through this whole thought process is let's just have it underneath one roof. Is this be easier? It's faster. I don't have to go to different places. It's once I get done with the editing, I can automatically set it up to push it out to all the different locations and YouTube, and I don't have to worry about it too much. The only thing I'll be doing is, taking transcript through Claude to make sure it does that work that I've been doing for the past 6 months or so. Yeah, 6 months. Now, I'm also hoping that I did not screw things up because that would suck. Let me make sure. Just in case. Yeah, that's fine. That's cool. I did it correctly. Because I'm sure I probably would have screwed something up. So what's going to happen next is that once Riverside sees the new feed or sees the redirect feed from the old host, you'll be able to set up your connections to either Apple Podcast. You can also set up to Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Deezer. Once it gets out to like Apple Podcasts and Spotify, the smaller places like Pocket Cast and other um, RSS aggregators would be getting that information as well. So your podcast will live elsewhere, not just on these locations. Um, we can also look at, let's look at the website, view website. So let's actually show you here. So it gets a nice little website that you can use. So you can change it from light mode to dark mode. We'll set it up for dark mode. So you have all your episodes listings here. If we're going to each one, you have your show notes that you've set up already. You can also have your uh, transcript that you put in. And of course, you can play the episode from the web browser, and it's all pretty much good to go. And you don't really need, I mean, there is places that you can use. There's, was it Podcast Stage? You can set up a website for your podcast, but that's also another added uh, per month cost. And then again, you're having to deal with another uh, service and another account. And this is my personal opinion. The podcast website doesn't really need to be anything too fancy, as long as it's a place that people can go to that has your episode listings and they can play it from there, or they can get the feed, RSS feed from it. That's perfectly fine. So you also have your about that you can uh, customize, and yeah. So just gotta wait. So like I said, sometimes it takes 5 minutes. Sometimes it might take an hour or 24 hours. So have that in the back of your mind as you go through this whole process, that if it doesn't fully go through right then and there, give it some time, come back to it in like an hour. And then if it shows that it has been uh, transferred over, you'll be able to go ahead and connect your apps, no problem. So that's pretty much it. Really, you've got to this point in moving your podcast from one host to another. You're pretty much good to go. There's nothing really else you need to do. Once you connect the apps like YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and the others, once those are taken care of, you're good to go. Your podcast is now living on Riverside. So if you have any questions about the whole process, or if you had any issues, like maybe it took a little bit longer, you had to talk to support, let me know in the comments down below. Definitely love to hear from you, and join a community. Just go to themakerdad.com and you'll see the link to our community. Happy to see you there. But until then, later, taters.